Good morning, and welcome to a preview of ITSEC 2021, the largest training and simulation conference and exposition of its kind in the world. My name is Jennifer Arnold, and it is a privilege to be your 2021 conference chair. I have been a part of the ITSEC family for more than 15 years, and it has been an absolutely incredible experience. I believe this year to be one of the most complex programs to date. And this year's theme, Innovating and Accelerating Training Adapted to an Unexpected Future, just may be the most applicable ITSEC theme to date based on recent world events. I'd like to begin by introducing my mentor, Admiral James Robb, the president of the National Training and Simulation Association, or NTSA, and my wonderful program chair, Dr. Eliot Winer, the director of the Virtual Reality Application Center, a professor in the departments of Mechanical, Electrical, and Computer Engineering, as well as a faculty member of the Human-Computer Interaction Graduate Program at Iowa State University. We are thrilled to have you joining us today and look forward to an interactive session. ITSEC 2021 features content-rich special events, paper presentations, tutorials, and exhibits to inform and guide the latest learning and simulation trends, practices, and technologies. Please do not hesitate to ask questions during our discussion. We absolutely want to hear from you. We received several excellent questions beforehand, but look forward to more. So we will discuss many exciting things today. But first, I'd like to pass the floor over to Eliot for his welcome. Eliot, over to you.
Thank you, Jen. Welcome everybody for joining us this morning or this afternoon, depending on where you're coming from. A big thank you, of course, to Jen, our conference chair, and Admiral Robb for his superior leadership as always. This year, as Jen mentioned, was very complex. Aside from the normal complexities and issues of the normal program, we have, of course, had many health and safety issues we had to deal with. The health and safety of our members was the most important factor as we led up to this year. Our goal was to have an in-person conference. With all the different organizational meetings that we have throughout the year, we were going to treat those as stepping stones. If we couldn't have those meetings in a safe venue, then the conference was going to be very difficult to pull off. But I'm very happy to report that all the numerous organizational meetings we had earlier in the year, less people, a lot of distancing, a lot of masking, etc., we were able to relax those restrictions as years went on and maintain the safety that we want for our community and our members. No cases were transmitted at any of these events, and now with cases dropping, we are able to hold the conference in person. I'd like to now pass it over to Admiral Robb so he can discuss specifics of the conference and things that he's excited about this year. Admiral Robb?
Thanks, Eliot. It's truly a magnificent program that you all have put together, and Jen and Eliot have been masterful in terms of managing all the different alternatives. But as Jen said, I think it's the richest program that I've ever seen, including just 40 special events. Now that's a large number. So you need to do your homework up front about what you want to attend. And we are going to record certain high level events and live stream a few like the opening and some of the senior levels panels. But we look forward to getting everybody in person. I mean, this is a confluence of three different things that I have been tracking for the last 8-9 months. One of them is the government not shutting down, which I think we've escaped at least until the 3rd of December. Some sort of a continuing resolution that would allow the government to be funded and allow the travel orders to be executed. And the third one is this COVID issue. Obviously, this is a big deal, but we had a significant spike in the summer, and we've watched the numbers dramatically drop in the Orlando area to where we're down in terms of the CDC labels the transmission level at moderate, which is really good for us. And so the good news for the industry, government, academia partnership is that all elements of the triad are going to be able to be there. And so they're flooding in. We have a VIP roster that was a lot of tentative until all of these travel restrictions were dropped. And then we've seen a flood of VIPs and high level decision makers coming in. So I'm very excited about that. And I think that we are respectful of the situation. We will be safety minded, and we'll be updating the guidance as we go next week. But I think the trends are extremely positive. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Eliot if you want to go through any of the specifics of the program.
Thank you, Emma Robb. So I just want to highlight a few things. It's really difficult to program this extensive. I had mentioned to some of the organizational folks a couple of weeks ago, I was actually chatting with a number of people that had never attended ITSEC and were very interested in it. And trying to take 2 or 3 or 4 minutes to describe everything that we do at the conference is really just a very, very difficult task. So I'm going to give you some kind of, not really metrics, we'll say, but just kind of some information so you understand about the program. There's probably questions of what, coming off a COVID year, a year that we did it virtually, what things look like and that. So I'm very pleased to announce that in terms of looking at papers and tutorials, our numbers are right on par with our normal pre-COVID years, which was quite a surprise initially as the year went on to a lot of us. People just are very anxious to get back. We all want to be together. We all want to be in person. We all want to have great content. We have a newly formed subcommittee this year, professional development workshops, which we started offering several years ago. And we have a record number of workshops that will be offered on Friday of the conference. As already been talked about, we have a very large number of special events. We might be able to call that a record. I'm not sure we actually keep track of the number, but it is the largest number I think that any of us have seen in the last several years. And the breadth of the topics that are going to be covered, from gaming to XR to LVC to automated tutoring, is just incredible. Everybody is just, what I've been hearing as the year has gone on, particularly as we got closer and closer to in this fall, is just numerous communication from people that they're so excited to be back in person. Everybody's just really looking forward to it. We want the content, we want the conference. We also want to see each other, and that's that networking piece that's just so critical and so important in our community. It's not that we all took this conference for granted, but I think, we just expected it like the sun coming up every day and the earth spinning, that it was going to be there every year. And then we didn't have it last year. It was really tough for a lot of us. So I think it's time for all of us to whether you're looking at paper tutorials or special events, your workshops, your exhibit floor, your meetings, the after hour activities that we're all looking forward to, I'm sure, the chili cook-offs and things like that. It's just really amazing, all the content that we offer. And I really encourage everybody to do as much as you possibly can. The full program is available online at itsec.org. You can go there and check it all out. And the one piece I would like to highlight, just because the program can be so complex. So Renee, if we can bring that slide up, please, is we're trying to help people out this year a little bit. And we've provided a couple of sample programs that you can take a look at. So this will be a flyer in your bags that we're all going to get. And if you need help just kind of looking at creating a schedule or sort of a skeleton you want to start with, and then you can fill it in with additional things. We've highlighted about 5 different themes here. You'll see LVC, adaptive instructional systems. Go to the second page here. We have machine learning, extended reality. And we've kind of listed from tutorials on Monday, papers, special events, other activities on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and then potentially a workshop on Friday. So it kind of gives you an idea of if you want to put a little program together, you could start from there. If you're not really sure, it can be overwhelming when you get that big, giant, thick program when you pick up your bag, but help you kind of decipher all that. And thank you, Renee. You can take that down now. So I am just so excited about all the different things that we have going on. It was truly an honor to work with everybody this year. It was very complicated, obviously, getting the program and all the other issues going on in our world today. But I am so excited and looking so forward to seeing everybody. So I'm going to pass it back to Jen right now so she can highlight some specific special events. Jen?
Thank you, Eliot. And I think you're absolutely right. In all my years of being a part of this organization, I think it is a record year. We have some incredible special events, way too many to highlight all of them here, but we have picked out a few. that may be of interest to you. But as Eliot mentioned, the full agenda is on the ITSEC website, and you can go through and select your track before you arrive, and we do get to see you in person. So on Monday, we have a number of congressional events. So you'll get to hear from our congressmen and women about what's important to them, what they're pushing forward, and how we can support, as well as share with them some of our ideas and our issues and challenges from an industry perspective. On Tuesday, we'll start with our opening ceremonies. And as Admiral mentioned, we have a number of VIPs, more flags than I have seen in many years. And we will start with our opening ceremonies first thing Tuesday morning. And Admiral Robb will host a fireside chat with General David Berger, who is the Commandant of the U.S. Marine Corps, as well as Admiral Michael Gilday, who is Chief of Naval Operations of the U.S. Navy. So you definitely won't want to miss what their mission challenges are now and how they're working to mitigate those. Following that, our exhibit floor opens, and our exhibit floor is full to the brim of amazing technologies, capabilities, individuals that you'll want to talk down, thought leaders, those that are out there really pushing the limits on a horizon from a technology perspective, individuals that you'll want to walk, see, touch, experience, and speak to. We'll also have right before the exhibit floor opens, we'll also have a senior leader panel. And that's going to include senior representatives from all of the U.S. military services as well as NATO. And once again, they're going to be focusing on their challenges that directly apply to our conference theme. Now, very exciting, and I know you all will be over at the website here shortly to sign up. Wednesday morning is our 5K. And it's an excellent opportunity to meet up with your new best friends at 6 a.m. in the morning and get your exercise in for the day. This year, our proceeds are going to go to Tunnel to Tower and our STEM initiatives. And it's an amazing event. I can't tell you, people wear their medals throughout the day. And it's just a wonderful experience to get your heart pumping and get out with your colleagues and your friends to start Wednesday morning. Following that, as Eliot mentioned, we have full days of special events, papers throughout Wednesday and Thursday. But one that I want to highlight is our Black Swan event. Our Black Swan is entering its 7th year of our special event series. And after a true Black Swan pandemic last year, we're changing gears to focus on a different kind of virus. This year, we are calling Ransomware Hits Wall Street. So we're investigating the world of cryptocurrency and ransomware with this Black Swan theme. So I would highly recommend that you put that on your list. It's just incredibly interesting to understand why this is important to us and why it's important to the modeling and simulation community. So we'll also discuss from a cyber perspective some of the typical industry vulnerabilities and how you and your organizations and your teams can build resiliency. So this is one that I'm personally excited about. It's the inaugural year of our NTSA Cyber Pavilion. So we are going to be bringing together cyber, electromagnetic, and information warfare leaders to collaborate in a pavilion that will be on our exhibit floor to basically educate us and the community about current programs, current projects, i.e. think persistent cyber training environment or EWPMT, if those resonate with you and ring a bell, programs that are ongoing but are also evolving with the technologies that we're providing. They'll also be communicating opportunities and provide current operational unit requirements. So U.S. Army Cyber Command and the Cyber Center of Excellence will have leaders on site to present and to be able to engage with us. So keep that on your list. Another favorite, which you may have heard about recently, is the Iron Dev competition, which is similar to a cooking show, if you will, where teams will be given a challenge and a secret ingredient to develop distributed AR/VR training, education, or an operational solution to improve warfighter readiness. I won't go into a lot of depth, but these teams are already working and doing an amazing job based on what we've heard so far. On Thursday, there will be an award given to these teams, one for best overall solution, most innovative solution, and people's choice. So you are more than welcome to join us for the Iron Dev final competition to see how these solutions play out. And last but not least, another one dear and near to my heart is our ITSEC Career Fair, which links top talent with leading companies in the training, modeling, and simulation community. So we have a virtual component and a live component this year. We'll have over 30 industry-leading companies that will be on site and online to interview candidates. We've had great success with this over the past 2 years. We've had a number of organizations that have found leading candidates in system engineering, cyber, VR, ML across the board. And I've heard from some of our recruiters that this is the best event that they've seen in industry. So please, if you're interested in being a part of that, but also share, please, for those. It's focused on students, veterans, individuals in the community, so it's open to all. I could continue going on for a great deal longer about all these special events. As you can see, I'm quite excited about them as well. But again, we highly recommend that you go pick out your own track that's important to you, and don't hesitate to ask any questions at all at this point. So, Admiral, back over to you, sir.
Thanks, Jen. That's great. So I do want to highlight again about the CNO and the Commandant coming down. That's never happened before in the history of ITSEC. So we're fingers crossed, but I'm in touch with their staffs in the Pentagon, and so they intend to come. So they're going to bring a little entourage with them. So that's really good. And anytime we can get exposure to that level and almost take the opportunity to educate them more about training and simulation and the community, as well as the great things that are going on inside the labs and the NOC TSDs and the PO strives of the world. Training doesn't get enough advocacy in the Pentagon. I mean, I was there 20 years ago and I ran those large budgets, and it's just, you just have to be the squeaky wheel once in a while. So we'll entertain them, host them, and I think they will leave impressed with the power of what we put together and the power of the detail, especially when it really revolves around improving the workforce, recruiting and developing STEM qualified folks that want to be in the training simulation world, that are all passionate about supporting warfighters. So it's a great opportunity, and we will take advantage of it. Again, I want to relay a couple things. One is we have a senior leader panel, as Jen said, and then we have two other flag and general officer panels that are really rich in 1, 2-star, 3-star presenters from the training systems, from the Pentagon, high level folks that are going to be there on Tuesday afternoon and Wednesday. And again, they will relay the latest in the requirements and the challenges that are out there. So I'm very excited about seeing them. There's a lot of time that we've spent trying to link up with the Special Operations Command, and they are sending a contingent, a significant contingent up to the show. And they have a panel themselves that are working on future applications of extended reality and artificial intelligence in terms of the special operations world. And that's a big deal. They're a very strong command. They have their own sourcing, and they spin very quickly in terms of requirements. So we're excited that they're coming for the third year, essentially. There's also a large emphasis on data collection, storage, management, use. I mean, when we actually sell people on the idea of big data and big data analytics, we run into the back end, which is a challenge, into what data, what format, where is it, what are the rules around it. So we have a panel this year that has invited all of the chief data officers from the Pentagon to come down and discuss the state of the nation in terms of those activities. And Say Schatz has organized that. And there's really significant money being spent on the backside here to try to get organized around big data, because you can't just throw it all in a big bucket and get something out of it. So it takes an engineering approach, and the Pentagon seems to be onto that as something that can save them money and help them to improve the quality of life for the sailors and the Marines, sailors and soldiers. And this is especially true in the human resources area and the tracking of human elements with regard to performance, trying to actually create large data files that track a person through their career, so that we can really deep dive into their traits, strengths, and accomplishments in a much more precise way than we do now with ratings that are fairly generalized. So it's a lot of really good work going on there. Another panel which surprised me when I saw it show up is a one called the A New American Way of Training, and they have recruited on site the previous CNO, Admiral Richardson, who just was CNO like 2 years ago. General Funk from the TRADOC Training Command, for the Army. Former 4-star General Holmes who was ACC, and Ms. Jackson, who is the Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Force Readiness out of the Pentagon. So that's one pretty high level group of folks that are, it's just another one. And as you go down this list of special events, you find events that are full of SESs and leaders and folks that are really driving requirements, and that's really good, positive things. We also have events that are focusing on digital modernization. We have Air Force gaming folks that are coming down. The Air Force is using gaming as a way to reach recruits and to train and to engage the digital natives that are out there in the force and potentially in the force. And that's an exciting difference because we're trying to build our gaming. We have serious games, which are the best in the world. We're trying to link them with more commercial, more demand signal from the services in the outside world. And we're excited about companies like Unity coming in person to ITSEC this year, who are obviously very high level on the commercial gaming side, and they have seen value in the federal market to go ahead and have a significant presence at ITSEC this year. And we really go out and look for the non-traditional companies that are really in the back end of a lot of these systems, NVIDIA, HPs, all the big ones that many times you don't understand how important they are to the box that you're playing with. You just don't know what's inside there, but a lot of these companies are doing magical things. I do want to highlight one thing is we have a fellow this year, ITSEC fellow, Fred Hartman, and we will be honoring him at the event. And he's a long lifetime achiever in a simulation training environment, and we're just pleased to have him be there and honor them. We have a relaunch of the Certified Modeling Simulation Professional Program, the CMSP. We're calling it 3.0. But you'll see themes go through the entire week that are highlighting the need for professional acknowledgement and some sort of structure for identifying modeling simulation professionals and giving them a track. So we've had a committee go through a year-long effort led by Ivar Oswald, and they've just done magical things along with Carol Dwyer from our staff to put together actually a 4-level tier for the CMSP program, and that goes all the way down into high school level. And then we're going to draw people from below into this professional development so that we can feed the pipeline, as it were, and get folks interested early that there's a tremendous professional career waiting for them in the training simulation community. I think I'd also like to highlight the fact that we are investing serious money into the future talent. So we have brilliant group of scholarship winners. We've put $125,000 into motivating and helping them, resource them to get, into master's degrees and PhDs. And we've done another $30,000 worth of high school and undergraduate scholarships, and we continue to look for ways to bring out and enable not only the highest, but some that have the best aptitude just don't have the resources. And so we are looking very hard into increasing our diversity and inclusion kinds of activities that really address the need to go deeper into the pool of candidates to come into the modeling simulation training environment. Because, for example, in flight training, the demand signal is huge, and we're all competing for the same people. And the people at the very top, that's easy, but there's a wonderful, bountiful group of folks that are out there that have the aptitude. They just don't have either the programs or the encouragement by their own structure, cultural structure, and then they're not maybe resourced to do this. So we're all in and trying to go and broaden the workforce to that point. And that's something that's important to all of the service chiefs as well. So they see that, as the CNO told me, he says, we have to make the Navy look like America. So, I mean, that seems like a simple thing, but it's not necessarily always happening. Bob Kleinapple and his Next Big Thing program, or I think we had a webinar on that last week, but they're doing great things. The show floor is exquisite. It's as always, it highlights new technologies. There's a lot of AR, VR out there. Certainly the gaming pieces of it, a lot of high-end AI, big data kind of things that are finding their way into systems, and really innovative training solutions. So the show floor is nearly full. There's still a little room if somebody wants to come down and pitch a tent, but it's certainly 90% of what we would normally see. On some of the areas that we have taken a little bit of a hit on are the international, because of travel restrictions, and because we usually have about 37 companies come to ITSEC from abroad, and we're probably shy of that. We did have the Canadians decline to come, and then 2 weeks ago decided to come. So I mean, we do see some reversals of fortune here as folks see that Orlando is not is a safe place to come. And so I think we're going to see an acceleration of that, not only in people coming, maybe not exhibiting, this late, but maybe coming and having contingents walk the show floor and find out what's going on. So we're excited about that. We will have a safe meeting, and it's going to be great. And if TSIS, for those of you who know what TSIS is, we had in June, we usually have 800. 2 years ago, we had 800 this year, which was a surprise. And then we had additional 200 online. So we actually had the biggest TSIS ever. And the people were almost jubilant in terms of being able to see each other and walk around and and talk and have a conversation. So that's something that's clearly been a shortfall in the in the virtual world, and no doubt we're gonna not only get together and have great technical and quality networking, but we're going to have a good time. How's that? Not an overly good time, but just we're gonna enjoy the time together. So with that, I think we'll transition for a couple of questions that came in early, and I think that we had 3 of them. I'm going to address the first one. The first one said, "What is NTSA doing to incorporate the Space Command, or the new Space Force, we're on this. We're trying. We've tried to get some Space Force senior people to come down and be on the executive panels. Uh, Space Force is still sort of defining itself and its structure, and so we are doing homework with Colonel Kurian, who's our exec for the Air Force, to try to identify a couple of things. One is, how do they do training? What are what who are the pillars of training within the within the Space Force? It's really ID the landscape to see what's going on. We're also trying to sort out how they procure things and who is in charge of the procurement chain, because it's important for us to, if we're going to have, if we're going to solicit people, especially to get on the show floor, that we have a great understanding of what their needs are, and does it match the, does it fit with the capabilities of the training simulation world? And there's no doubt that it does. So Colonel Kurian and I are working a program to not only just formulate the landscape, and then early next year, we're going to approach the principals. And we've offered, we have an open seat at the table for planning the conference, and open to the Space Force participation. So with that is, Jen, or do you want to take one of the other questions?
Thanks, Admiral. I'd be happy to. Why don't we focus a little bit, and and there might be a need for a little bit of clarification, but our second question was, how can the live, adaptive, constructive approach help us to study the edge domain? So if the individual that submitted this question, if you'd like further clarification, please put so in the chat. But there are a number of capabilities and technologies that we've reviewed, not only within the papers, but with our exceptional exhibit floor, where organizations are bringing both software and hardware capabilities to access and leverage the edge domain capabilities. So for example, you've heard us talk about machine learning, data science, the AI components. We are seeing capabilities that are allowing us to leverage the cloud via domains for our warfighters who are at the edge or the tip of the spear, training, or even, if we get there, operationally focused, to allow us to gather data in real time and submit that data back. And what we're seeing is that developers are taking that data and making changes on the fly. So we're not waiting like we used to wait years ago, in one, that we didn't understand the battle space that we were operating in. So we can forward look to the edge, determining what the environment is that we're accessing, bring that data back, modify as we're going into the battle space. But while we're in the battle space, things change. The environment changes. There's a number of factors that can impact us. That data is being sent back in real time to allow for our developers to modify. So training scenarios change en route in real time. Again, the ultimate focus in the discussions that we've been having are, how do we take this training data? How do we develop the AI algorithms that are modifying in real time? And then more importantly, even predict the battle space and the direction that it's going. Because one, we're now able to access the data, we're able to get the data back, and we're able to modify in real time. So there's a number of different areas, and what you'll be able to see and talk to those organizations that are on the floor that are showcasing this ability, and how, again, they're leveraging the cloud, how they're leveraging relationship with Microsoft, with Google, with AWS to be able to access, track, and leverage, most importantly, this data. So again, please clarify if you need further, but there will be a significant focus on that. We saw it in the papers, particularly in our Emerging Concepts Committee, of the interest level in how do we leverage live, adaptive, and constructive to really perform at a higher level on the edge domain. Eliot, would you like to take the third one?
Certainly. Thank you, Jen. So the third question that was submitted ahead of time was, what's coming down the pipe in training and simulation? I think a lot of the things we've discussed about the program really highlight this. There's sort of the obvious ones, right? Extended reality, simulation, machine learning, and artificial intelligence, data science, data analytics, big data, if you will. So those are ones that we all know, and we have a number of really rich events that are going to go into depth, the breadth and the depth of those. I'll highlight a couple of interesting aspects. For example, in the next big thing committee that Admiral Robb mentioned, we have a number of events focused around XR, but they're highlighted at different levels depending on what you might want to know. So we have one panel session that is focusing on at a manager level. So if you have a company or entity and you're saying, hey, what is XR? I'd like to use it. Where can I take advantage of it? How does it work for me? What's the return on investment? We're going to have an event that's going to answer those types of questions. If you're a developer who says, wait, I need to know exactly what kind of tools are being used, what's good, what are the strengths and weaknesses. You've heard Admiral Robb mention that Unity is going to be there. We also have representation from a lot of other technology companies, folks that typically haven't come to ITSEC before, but we're bringing them into the fold of our community. So we'll have the normal users in our community that are experts in these technologies, but also the vendors who are creating it. So they can now listen to us and customers and see what we need and try and match those needs. I think there's also a few sort of other topics that I would point out that are in the future that maybe under the radar. One topic that most of us don't like to talk about, but the contracting. And that's really important. Like, how do we actually get work done with the government? So we actually have a special event on TREX, which is an organization that was set up to do contracting in a much more efficient fashion and how that operationally works. And for a lot of people, that might be very interesting. I mean, I can tell you a lot of my job, as a professor, is getting those contracts in place before I can actually get the work done. And so all the little aspects we have to do, kind of the soup to nuts, if you will, of the initial idea, defining the problem, getting it contracted, getting it proposed, hooking people up, and then getting the work done and seeing the results and the evaluation. That's really what we focus on in the conference. And I'd say you're seeing those kind of things through the technology domain, the contracting domain, even things like our automated intelligent systems, and other learning science and some learning strategies, educational strategies. We have a lot of events and papers that are in those too. So those are really I'd say the future in training simulation. That's what we're looking towards. But it really has to all come together with the people. Even though I am a technologist, I'm not going to sit here and tell you XR and data science is going to solve everything. It's not. If we don't have the right people and the right procedures in place, it's not going to work. So everything has to come together, and you're going to see the latest and greatest, at the conference, I believe.
Okay, thanks, Eliot. So I want to wrap up. I think it's, first I want to thank Jen and Eliot for all their work. I mean, this is years of dedication and really passion about what we're doing, and it's manifests itself into a brilliant program, and we're eternally thankful for your efforts. I mean, this is a volunteer sport at ITSEC. It's your conference. It's done by 350 folks that are given their time, and the companies that support them, we thank them as well. I just want to reiterate that registration's still open, and you can register on site. If you're late to get to the game, please come, bring a friend, and you'll be happy. It's going to be a great event, and I think that coming back from 2019 through the dark ages here, that it's going to be an exciting time. So I think I just want to also thank my staff, Debbie and Renee and Carol Dwyer and Shannon, for all their efforts this year. They are unsung heroes, especially when they're having to deal with so many options and tracking. And so it's not easy. It's not just a straight line. It's like 3 ITSECs going at one time, and we got to pick one, as we go and call an audible. And so all that, though, is headed in a really terrific direction. So please come, please bring a friend. And if you can't, tune in to some of the events that are going to be online. In terms of the webinars for next month, we're going to take a break in December, and then we're going to go back to an event in January, a normal cycle. So we found that the webinars are helpful and useful, and they tend to bring people together on specific topics. So we thank you for that. And we've had great response to the webinar series. And if you have a topic or some kind of thing that you would like to sponsor into the webinar series, we really encourage that. So with that, I'm going to thank Jen, thank Eliot, and thank you for attending. And I'll see you at ITSEC in about 2 weeks.
Thank you, Admiral.
Thank you. Goodbye, everybody.